Today I'll be discussing the social learning theory and applying it to an individual to demonstrate how it can be used to explain crime. The social learning theory derived from the sociological theory of differential association and the psychological theory of reinforcement. Ronald Akers developed the social learning theory, explaining that the same learning process that occurs in other areas of life occurs when learning how to be deviant or how to conform to laws. The psychological theory of reinforcement plays a role in if the individual will continue to commit criminal behavior or if they will stop. If a behavior is reinforced, the individual will continue to behave that way. If the behavior is constantly faced with punishment or negative reinforcement, they are more likely to stop. Essentially, people watch others behave a certain way and then copy the behaviors themselves. To apply this theory, we will use Jesse Pomeroy, who is the youngest known serial killer from Massachusetts. Pomeroy began committing violent crimes when he was only 12 in 1871. He was found guilty of 2 murders, but possibly 10 or more. He committed assault, sexual assaults, murder, and other forms of violent torture, mostly towards younger boys. To fully understand the case and application of the theory, we will first consider his childhood and background. When Jesse was born, he had a defect causing his right eye to have a white film over it. His father was very disgusted by his son's appearance, and so were his peers. Jesse's father brutally abused him physically, sexually, and mentally. He would force Jesse to get naked so he could whip his bare skin with horsewhips and leather belts. At school, he was bullied a lot by kids who were bigger, taller, and stronger than he was. He was the constant target of harassment, and kids always made fun of his eye. In return, he began to bully kids who were smaller, shorter, and weaker than he was. He did not have any friends, so he spent his time reading novels about blood, sex, war, and other forms of mayhem. His mother, Ruth, knew about the issues he was having. She was very worried about her son and believed if children stopped bullying him, he would stop bullying others. On multiple occasions, she found mutilated animals he had brutally killed. Ruth saw this as a sign of sadness. In 1871, he began to sexually assault and beat young boys in Chelsea across from the Charlestown River. He would force them to take their clothes off in an isolated area, usually in the woods, and then he would beat them. Shortly after his assaults had started, an article came out in the Globe explaining a suspect of these crimes as the boy torturer or the Red Devil. When his mother read the description of the assaults, she recognized her son's behavior. As a result, she moved them to South Boston in hopes of a new start for Jesse. Unfortunately, her attempt to fix her son's behavior did not work. In 1872, Jesse tied a young boy to a telephone post and assaulted him. This was the first time the victim was able to give a description of Jesse. The description gave details about his eye that led to his arrest. He was sentenced to 6 years in a Westboro State Reform School, but only spent a few months in there after his mother fought for him to be out. In 1874, Katie Kern went missing from South Boston. She was last seen in Pomeroy's family-owned store. Just 5 weeks after that, a 4 or 5-year-old boy named Horace was found dead on the beach. The police found blood on Jesse's clothes, scratches on his skin, and footprints to match his shoes. He was sentenced to life in prison, where he spent 41 years in solitary confinement. The social learning theory does an excellent job of giving a possible explanation of Jesse's behavior. At home, Jesse was brutally assaulted by his father. He was forced to get naked and whipped by him. His victims admitted being forced to get naked before Jesse would beat and sexually assault them. He watched his father do it to him and then copied what he had seen. He learned the behavior from his father. The social learning theory can even be applied to his bullying. He was bullied by children who were bigger and stronger than he was. As a result, he bullied children that he was bigger and stronger than. He essentially learned how and who to bully by the children who bullied him. As I mentioned earlier, part of the social learning theory considers the psychological aspect of reinforcement. Jesse was never properly punished for his crimes. His mother got him out early from the reform school after he had tortured a boy. Instead, the punishment he had received as a kid from his father's abuse was unnecessary and completely random. He did not understand negative reinforcement at all. Social learning theory can be very complex, but if you can remember that people copy behaviors of others, you will be okay. I hope this video helped you understand the social learning theory and how it can be applied. Thank you for watching.